Well, hi everybody.
Hi.
So I know Ryan talked about micro conversions and it's all about storytelling, right? So today I'm going to talk about what's behavioral analytics, how can they help you with storytelling, and why are they important to you? So before we get into all of that, a quick introduction about myself. So I'm Priyanka, I'm a senior product manager at Microsoft. Like Ryan, I joined Microsoft right out of grad school, and I have worked in Windows and search experiences, and most recently in analytics. I drive the product experience for Microsoft Clarity, that's a behavioral analytics tool, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. My goal from this conversation is to educate you guys what are behavioral analytics, how can they help marketeers like you to understand your customers, what are their journeys like, and how can you use them to meet your KPIs. So let's start with the basics. Whoops, wrong way. So let's start with quantitative data. So what is quantitative data? It is data that's countable, it's measurable, it tells you what's happened. Whereas qualitative data is data that is more observational, tells you why things happen. And a lot of companies rely very heavily on quantitative data to make business decisions. So if you've heard of Google Analytics, you may have seen metrics like bounce rate, page speed, pages per session. They tell you what's going on your site. But do you know the numbers, the reasons behind why they go up and down? That's where qualitative data comes in. When you marry qualitative data with quantitative data, that's where the magic happens. It's like if you go to a restaurant or a movie and if you just knew good or bad reviews and you didn't know why they were happening, that doesn't really make any sense, right? So let's walk through a scenario where that can actually be the case. Let's say you have some revenue numbers. Let's say you're behind them. What do? Any ideas? Come up with some ideas with your team so that you can mitigate and get ahead of these KPIs, right? Now, if you don't know why something's going up or down, you will go about throwing these ideas, not in a super strategic way. Or you may have a hippo in the room. The highest paid person in the room will start giving you directives. Do this, do that. You may go and do that. But what are the odds that you'll actually hit your goals? Let's walk through an actual situation. Let's say you made some changes on your website and you looked at Google Analytic numbers to get these metrics. So you see your conversion rates are going down, bounce rates are going up. What do you do next? How do you figure out what do you do to mitigate these numbers that you see? If you had behavioral analytics as an overlay to the metrics that you see, you'd be able to see that the customers that see these changes may be struggling somewhere in their journey. So in this scenario, they're trying to get out of your accept cookie model and they're failing, right? And this could possibly give you a hypothesis as to what's going on. So traffic analytics are great to give you an average sense of the experience that a customer sees on your site. They can give you numbers like how many people came in, how many people left, but behavioral analytics help you give you context as to the motivations of your customers so that the changes you make are truly meaningful. And so with this being a marketing conference, let's look at what are the top of minds for you guys. You might want to improve your signups, drive more ad campaigns, or make your product more effective. And these questions can be answered in many ways, and behavioral analytics is a way to answer them. So I'm hoping by the end of this talk, you guys can see how a tool like Clarity could help you guys answer these questions and round out the gaps that you have in your knowledge. So with any kind of tool set or a tool, you have a bunch of different toolkits, right? So in behavior analytics space, generally the type of tools that are out there come with these three types of tools. So let me walk you guys through one by one. So there's session replay. So session replay is an animated simulation of your customer's journey on your site. So you saw something that I showed you before, that's what a session replay looks like. And we'll get into details of this a little bit later. When you take all of those sessions in aggregate, you get what we call heat maps. So heat maps are a visual way to see engagement on your website. So it can tell you what parts of the page are getting engagement, what aren't, or how far did a customer go in before they abandoned your page. And you may get a lot of traffic, so you may get a lot of sessions, but you don't have a lot of time, right? Everyone talked about being a single marketeer. Sucks. So how do we make sure that you make the most out of the time that you have? And so that's where experience metrics come in. They may tell you what sessions to look at, what heat maps to look at, so that you can look at the pain points of the customer. So with that said, the next conversation, the next part of this presentation is going to be about how different companies have used behavioral analytics and combined them with traffic analytics and made actual improvements and met their KPIs. Starting with, it's fine. One of the big problems is around improving visibility to your key call to actions. Now, Travel Boom is a digital marketing agency that focuses on the travel sector. So they were working with their clients to figure out why their conversion rates were not meeting targets. They'd done a bunch of A/B experiments, run a bunch of campaigns, and they couldn't figure out why the numbers were the way they were. So at that point, what they did was they looked at behavioral data. Now, scroll map is the type of heat map that takes in all your user traffic and tells you at what point did most users leave that page. So the red part that you see here is the part with most visibility, and the part that is bluish is part with least visibility. Now for their clients, the key call to actions on the page were the Shop Now button. If you can see this dotted line, that's the average fold. So average fold is the default amount of content a customer can see without scrolling your page. And their most important button was below the average fold. Not only that, when you look at the scroll map, you can see only 50% of the users that came to their site actually saw the button. Now you'll say, Priyanka, the solution is simple. Make this go where everyone sees it, right? So that's exactly what they did. They moved that button to the top part of the page, where they get the most amount of visibility. And what do you get? 30% more in conversions. And you may think, yeah, this is obvious. Duh, why didn't people do that? It's really hard. When you're in the thick of things, it's hard to know why these numbers were not meeting their targets. Let's look at another example around, let's say, product education. So with Pearly, they're an online DIY bubble kit brand. They launched in the pandemic, and they really rely heavily on online sales to make revenue. Now, their whole goal was all about what their brand is, what the product do they sell. They want to get their word out there. And so what they looked at was a click heat map. Now, a click heat map takes all your traffic, takes all the engagements that come through, and and it shows you a visualization of where are the users clicking on the page. So what they looked at was their checkout page. Now, their checkout page has an add to cart button and a learn more button. What they saw was that the learn more button had a lot more engagement than the add to cart button, which is cool and interesting. So why are people clicking on learn more? When they looked at follow on sessions of all users who clicked on learn more button, they found that the customers that were seeing this learn more area wanted to know more about how do you make a boba tea. Once I buy your product, how do I actually make it? That wasn't clear to them. So what they did is they made this animated GIF, put it on their homepage. What do we see? 35% increase in conversions, right? Now let's look at another example where companies have used behavioral analytics data to improve their sign-up process. ProProfs. ProProfs is a cloud-based SaaS company. What they do is they connect their website owners with their clients in real time. Now, what they've done is they have taken Google Analytics data and they have figured out their end-to-end customer journey. You can get a lot of numbers, you can figure out what's going on. And what they found is they're seeing a lot of customer abandonment on their sign-up page. So pre-sign-up, they look good. Post-sign-up, they look good. But at the time of sign-up, they're losing customers. why are they losing customers, right? So they looked at session recordings for these pages with sign-up pages. And so, pages, customers who were looking at sign-up pages. What they found was a lot of customers were abandoning somewhere in the middle of the form because it was way too long. So what they did is they converted into snackable modules. They made the customer guide through same content, nothing changed, but just make it a step-by-step process so that the customer doesn't get lost during sign-up. What do we see as results? 27% increase in sign-ups and 70% increase in conversions, right? Now, behavioral data can not only help you identify what parts of the funnel to fix in your customer journey, but it can also help you figure out the end-to-end journey overall. Like in the case of, come on, clicker, Hello Prenup. Now, Hello Prenup is an online company that helps engaged couples figure out their prenup agreements without involving lawyers. Now, prenuptial agreements are complicated, they're tricky, there's a lot of financial and legal jargon, right? So their big goal was to understand how are customers interacting with their website. Do they even get it? Like, what's their end-to-end experience like? And so what they did is that they looked at behavioral data. Specifically, they were looking at rage click sessions. Now, rage clicks are the types of clicks where a customer is clicking on specific parts of the page rapidly within a second. So in this particular case, what they were doing is they were trying to input the dollar amount next to the text that you see. But the way you actually take in data is through the text box below. So this was a visual struggle that the customers were having. What else did they learn? They learned that a lot of customers were getting lost in financial jargon. And how did they know that? So when you're reading a book, right, and really focusing and concentrating in the age-old days when books were being read, you would follow the text with your fingers. Same story. They're following the mouse movement of the customer reading this financial jargon. And you can see they were going over and over again. So they learned this, they made changes, and what do we see? 32% increase in revenue. Huge impact. You'll say, all right, Priyanka, this is great. You're at a marketing conference. Tell me how to improve my ad campaigns, right? That's what you care about. Okay, let me show you how behavioral analytics tools can help you with your ad campaigns. So Adapt World is a digital marketing agency, and what they do is they were helping their clients get more conversions by using ad campaigns, Google Ads in this specific case. And what they wanted to do was reduce their cost per acquisition and get more sales. Now, what they were seeing is a lot of people coming in, not a lot of conversions. And it's a really hard problem, right? How do you figure out to get more conversions? At this point, what they did is that they had the data from Google Analytics. So they knew the segment of customers that were coming in through these ad campaigns. Then they saw all the sessions that had frustrations for those types of users who were coming from ad campaigns. And what they learned was a lot of customers that are coming through the ad campaigns had or were seeing a broken experience, meaning click-throughs were not going anywhere. No clicks, no conversions. When they learned this, they made some changes. 86% in conversions and up to 41% decrease in cost per acquisition. Now, all of these solutions are really simple, right? You don't need to make new features or do a huge innovation to make a lot of impact on your key KPIs. That's the really big moral of this story. So, come on, clicker. There are some other types of examples that I want to run you guys through with some other type of experience metrics. So this is a case study around dead clicks. Now, dead clicks are the type of clicks where a user clicks on your website and nothing happens. So what it tries to indicate to you is either your site experience is broken or they're clicking on touch targets that are not meant to be clickable. So in our case, this is an example of Clarity homepage. We have a feature called session playbacks, and we wanted to give our customers some visual context. So we added this image next to it. And we thought, wow, we're really killing it. But we weren't. What we ended up seeing is a lot of customers thought this image was a video. And that looks bad, right? It looks like Clarity doesn't know what they're doing. And so this was an area of opportunity for us to improve and make our website look a lot more polished. Another common area that we see a lot of dead clicks in is in retail. So especially in the checkout page that you see here. The customers, when they add something to cart, more often than not, will want to go back either to the product to see have they bought the right size, the right color, or they want to go and explore something else. And a lot of companies won't allow their customers to exit out of the checkout page. I'm sure if you guys have seen this, and yeah, a lot of heads being nodded, yeah. So overall, it gives a really bad brand perception. You're losing customer trust, and you want them to come back to you. Like I think Ryan mentioned, right? It's not just about that one conversion or one sale. It's about the overall perception of your company and the products that you're serving. So again, the types of these experience metrics can give you ideas about ways you can improve your overall customer experience. Now, I have talked about rage clicks in different case studies, but this one was really interesting because it taught us problems we didn't even know that Microsoft had. So this is about Bing search. Now, the primary function of a search engine is to make sure customers can successfully search as fast as they want and get to the destination that they want to get to. Now, in this particular case, when we were looking at rage click sessions for Bing search box, we saw a lot of customers struggling to make a new query. Now, what was happening is, my clicker doesn't want to behave. Oh, it's fixed here. All right. The blue part was what was interactable, and the orange part was not. So what happened is for those customers who decided to be super precise and click on the orange parts of the search box, they were actually ending up highlighting the search rather than requery. And that's a huge customer dissatisfaction. When we identified this and we fixed it, we had huge gains in terms of Bing success metrics. We have something called as requery rate, which is we track how fast a customer can get to their end destination. And that had a huge impact on them. So my key takeaway from all of this is, one, behavioral analytics tools are not a substitute to web analytics. I'm not saying don't use Google Analytics. I'm saying please do, but use it with behavioral so that you get a complete picture of the entire story. You can figure out the why behind the what that you see. Second, they can help you understand or even ask questions you didn't even know you had to ask. Like finding that rage click on search box, super cool. Great gains for the company. Lastly, lastly, it is super accessible. You don't need a data science degree. You don't need to be a statistician to understand and make sense of these numbers. I know I was talking to Vanessa, and she was saying, or maybe Sydney, I don't know, one of you guys were saying that it's really hard to communicate or tell your stakeholders a visual story. You know, they're not all data scientists. You give them Google numbers, they may not understand it. They're just visual people. Maybe this is a way for them to understand the impact of the changes that you're making and proposing. So at this point, you're saying, give me some behavioral analytics, right? Right? So let me introduce you to, Microsoft Clarity. This is a product I work on, and it launched in 2020. And we have a mission to empower all companies to build better products by making accessible analytics. And so we have a couple of features. One is session recordings. So session recordings, like you saw before, is a simulation of all your customer events. It's like micro conversions. You add a pixel on your page, we simulate how your customer has interacted with your site and all your customers, not just one, but all of them. And it's a great way to understand product opportunities, validate your designs, and figure out what more can you do. for your customers. Next is heat maps. Heat maps, oh my God. So sorry guys, this is really misbehaving. All right, heat maps are aggregated view of all your engagement data. And so what we have is click map and scroll map. And so click maps tell you parts of the page that you can engage with, and scroll map tell you how far down the customer journey on your site did the customers, leave or abandon your site. And ideally, you want your click and scroll map to show you the most important content on your page is being seen by everybody. So you can really prioritize with that kind of combo. And then lastly, we also have dashboard. Our dashboard has a bunch of user experience metrics that can help you figure out where do you go off to, what sessions should I look at, what heat map should I care about. And so these three things are, these three things combined are part of a Microsoft Clarity suite of features. And so all the case studies that you saw today were companies using Clarity data. And I wanted to talk a little bit now about why did Microsoft build this product? Why is it a public product? And it all starts with a Reddit post. So back in the day, Clarity used to be an internal tool to Microsoft. And we saw this Reddit post that said, hey, when I use Bing, I see these big, bold purple ads. Now, I used to work in Bing search experiences. And I assure you, we don't serve big, bold purple ads. Bad for business, bad for brand. But here we are. Someone's complaining, right? And so what we did is looked at, what did we look at? Come on, computer. Okay, what we looked at is sessions using Clarity at the time, our internal tool, sessions that had non-default color on our ads. And what we found was really interesting. If I can make this work. Okay, so what we found was that all users that were seeing these big, bold purple ads ended up having this teal check mark next to the search results. And so if I magnify it, it's actually a check mark that comes from an antivirus software called Kaspersky. What Kaspersky Lab was doing was they were obeying the ad configurations done by the customer on their end computer. So it had nothing to do with Bing, but just with ad configurations or ad blockers, it was throwing out this weird experience. So we learned from that, we fixed and provided a more elegant solution when someone's using ad blockers or is using some kind of an antivirus software. But we also learned in this whole process that Clarity was a really cool tool. It could really help anyone who wants to take these insights and take actionable items super fast. So that's when we came up with Clarity. These are the features we came up with, and it's a completely free service. There are no free tiers, freemium tiers. It's gonna always be free. We get this question a lot, so just wanted to put it out there that Clarity is not out there to promote any other product from Microsoft. It's just out there to really help customers make better products. And so it's also super lightweight, because we get this question a lot, is will it affect my site performance when I add Clarity? It is actually built by our former performance team. So it has a performance first mindset. And so it has minimal impact to your site. It's one of the fastest tools out there. And we are GDPR and CCPA compliant. It is built for scale. It's been used by heavyweights like Bing.com to anyone, a mom and pop shop, as they grow, Clarity can handle your traffic. There are no traffic limits. So you can see sessions of all your customers. We don't have any kind of limits. Microsoft really cares about privacy. And so out of the box, Clarity is in at least trying to ensure your customer privacy. So out of the box, our solution will mask any kind of sensitive data, which is any input text boxes, email addresses. We don't capture that. So Microsoft doesn't even know all that's going on. And additionally, there are many more settings. So if you don't want your face to be captured as part of this, you can do that. You can, have your own custom settings. And it's built on open source. We want everyone to know what we're adding on the page. You can even contribute to it. We have a couple of partners that have added to Clarity, make sure add to it, know what's being tracked. So Sorry. I know this is a marketing conference, but I want to say clarity is not just for marketeers, it's for everyone. Anyone and everyone who touches any part of the website, clarity can help you answer your own questions. Everyone has different goals. Like if you're a product manager like me, you want to know, is your feature good enough to ship? Or if you're a marketer like you want to know, hey, is my ad campaign more effective, right? So I just want to say that there is something in it for everybody. Lastly, you'll say, hey, Priyanka, you've told a lot about this. It's still pretty overwhelming. I might want to know, how do I kick off my analysis? So I use a tool like Clarity. What is my step to gaining clarity? So you start with knowing what your goal is. What's the purpose of your analysis? What do you want to get out of it? Second is knowing what pages do you want to start your analysis on. Is it a sign-up page? Is it your landing page? Is it one part of your funnel or an end to it? That will help you kind of frame how you go about analyzing your customer behavior. Then I would start with heat maps, because heat maps are a zoomed out view of all of your traffic. And so they can start telling you what parts of the pages work for you and what don't. And then after that, it would be great to dig into sessions that have frustrations on those pages, or sessions that have high or low engagement on those pages. And then lastly, there are a whole suite of filters. So you can filter down to an ad campaign. You can filter down to a type of device, screen resolution, or even parts of the page that were clicked on. So there are a whole bunch of customizations that you can do, even custom events. I think, Ryan, you mentioned something about custom events. We grabbed those too. So you can go about diagnosing your customer behavior and find user patterns. So that's pretty much it. Thank you, everybody. I have my personal email. So any questions, please feel free to give me an email or find the girl with the blue hair. So thank you very much.